And so as you get into the introductions of family law and dynamics, health and healing, good and bad, and begin to feel into what's going on and how they want, the family law courts want to label you as a malfunction in terms of psychology, and therefore justify your lack of custody with your children. Let's just leave it like that. And then that leads almost naturally through to areas of psychology. The phrase mental hell can often stop there rather than mental health, because they can use these terms which are just opinions. There's no facts based in a lot of mental health assessments. It's one person's word against another, and they can use their people, in inverted commas, to make diagnosis and justify psychological reasons for keeping people away from their children. This is often done very persecutory. And looking at the psychology, the word narcissism often crops up because of the exploitation element, the deception element, and the divisive blame game stuff leads to a lot of aggressive behavior, divisive behavior, and these characteristics of the egoic narcissism, where competitive is another one, where the other person has to be beaten in order for that narcissistic supply to feel satiated. And the word narcissism is an interesting one because there's categories, and you listen to people like Richard Grannon, Spartan Life Coach, very interesting on the topic. There's two categories, overt and covert, and that seems to fit in fairly generally with males and females. So that sort of assertive behavior of the male would more lend itself to overt narcissism, whereas the more receptive, less expressive femininity that manifests easily in females creates more of a covert narcissism, where the managed projection is much more taken into account. You can think of, a brash kind of, Donald Trump kind of character, seeming very overt with how he conducts himself, whereas, I was trying to think of an example, but someone under the radar, duplicitous, who presents very ethically well, and often there's connotations and connections and crossovers with a lot of things like charity work and the community, hub in terms of leader. It's a cover story, and then you can move into the macro areas. You can look at people like Jimmy Savile, having a kids' TV program, being the right under the nose, perfect alibi for crimes against children, and very, very serious, hideous ones too. So you and I, in our early days of parental alienation, start asking questions as to what's going on psychologically to induce such malice and cruelty. And then that's just from the partner situation, the other parent, but also from the macro systemic area of family law, which, if you look at the theory and the study on narcissism on the continuum through to psychopathy, you see it very starkly and clearly in family law. So covert narcissism is, I think, an area that, as alienated parents, we really need to become experts in. Even if you don't get the qualifications, just the conceptual understanding of what's going on psychologically, that these wounded people are very defensive and divisive and aggressive, competitive in their wounding, and that leads through to these, they call them antisocial personality disorders. It's quite a diluted expression, in my opinion.